I keep all
Yeah.
I continue to follow the rule of no duplicates in any category from a game.
I also,
same.
I know that's
Yeah.
a hard that's not a like personal rule. That is a hard rule. We had to implement that rule because otherwise Wolfenstein 2 was going to run a category one year for characters.
Yeah.
I think it was actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I feel like
is-
Control probably could have run some categories for me that year.
Yeah.
Like,
It's also like weapon
I
or
could have-
tool. It's like we can't
I
just
could
do
have
every
easily
gun.
right. In 2019, I could have easily done Control, could have run moment or sequence, and weapon or tool probably.
Pretty sure Control did run all of those categories in 2019.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Control was in every category other
No,
than
no, we mean like
But I mean,
why
but
we
I mean,
have
it
to
would
have
have been
something.
it would have been all three of my slots.
Oh, okay.
It's why we have
The
to have
Doom
a rule for
clause.
that.
Yeah.
No, it's a Wolfenstein clause.
I thought it was the Doom clause. I thought Wolfenstein clause was about old characters. being new.
No, that's the BJ clause. I can just open it. I've got my list up. One entry per game is the Wolfenstein clause. Entries must be meaningfully new to this year is the Doom clause. Meaningfully rebooted entries are valid entries is the BJ clause. Because people wanted to count BJ Blazkowicz from the newer games
character.
as a character, and I made a case he's not a new character, and I was outvoted. Story or writing, what is the best one of them? It was not as bad as soundtrack. It was not as bad as
Tsushima
soundtrack
from last year.
but it is it leaves a bit to be desired. But I can actively say I at least enjoy all three of my entries. I can say that. I cannot make that claim for soundtrack. But number 3, I know I'm not the only one saying this, and I feel extremely happy because I thought I was fucking insane as I was going through it. But number 3, against all odds, is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
You're insane.
No,
I don't know. I didn't play it.
I think that
you are
game
gonna be
has
alone.
it is shockingly well written. Both from the
Shaka.
I think that the overall story is okay, but as a character piece, it's incredible. While also setting itself apart and making the characters distinct from the stuff from the newer movies and stuff. I think that every single one of the characters in that game is great. The interactions are great. Genuinely funny at a lot of times. I am in disbelief that game was as good as it was, and I think its strongest suit is its writing. It is a game where the characters never stop talking, and you never get sick of it somehow. I can think of exceedingly few games that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the gameplay's mediocre as fuck, but the thing that brings me through it is I want to hear these characters talk more. I want to see them interact more with each other. I just want to hang out with these characters more. And while it's not like a single one of them saves it, like every single one of them is just great. Like I cannot believe it. And mind you, this is going to be for someone who really fucking likes those Marvel movies. But this feels different enough that it's not just piggybacking off of those portrayals. And it doesn't do that thing where it's like, oh, this is a person trying to be Chris Pratt. It instead just feels like this is another person playing Star-Lord.
This is another Chris Pratt.
Yeah, this is another
This
person
is Chris
playing
Pratt
Mario.
playing somebody pretending to be Chris Pratt.
This
Because
is
it's-
Garfield Chris Pratt.
The Lego games are really bad about that, where it's like, oh, this is a person trying to be Robert Downey Jr. doing Tony Stark, whereas this just feels like a different set of it's the same way where it's like none of the Spider-Man or like the new Miles Morales or the new fucking Peter Parker doesn't seem like someone trying to be, a Tobey Maguire. Like it just feels like, no, this is that character, and it's another person playing it. And I, against all odds, recommend the shit out of that game. And I can't fucking believe it.
What game?
We have a different category for that. And with that, Ryan, I will pass to you for your best story or writing.
This is actually third best story or writing.
Whatever.
For me.
Piss off.
I'm going with Forgotten City.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think the whole premise.
Did you finish
itself,
it?
No.
Okay, that explains a lot.
I couldn't get into the gameplay and stuff. And even if the ending or wherever it ends up going isn't that great, I feel like all the characters are distinct.
Mhm.
I feel like the whole premise itself is pretty cool. But I really like this idea of like someone from the future going into the past and not trying to be like, well, I shouldn't tell them anything.
Oh
It's
yeah,
this
it's
dude
so cool
shows
about
his
that.
fucking hand the whole time where he's like, I know what happens in the future and I'm going to tell these motherfuckers what's going on.
And then like this talking to the Romans about like, well, Romans are pretty barbaric, and he's like, well, fucking, we fucking allow gay marriage and let our women do stuff. So like, who are you to fucking judge us?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah, it has a lot of really cool moments like that where like it feels like it's written by a history nerd.
Yeah,
You have this fictitious, like historical fantasy kind of thing, but it's like it's being approached from like a really strict like historical scholarship, which I thought was really cool.
did you take the trait that makes you the history person?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, I did not take that one, but I think that's what Sean did also.
Yeah, well, because there's a lot of times where it's like you can go in there and there's like glyphs written on the wall, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I know what that shit says. Where if you didn't take that trait, you'd be like, nope, I don't know what that is, whatever. And
Yeah,
it's
but,
always
like-
just a lot of like raunchy graffiti, which is hilarious.
But what if you had a gun? Different category. But yeah, no, I think that Forgotten Cities, it at a certain point with the overall narrative, it gets real fucking stupid.
Mm.
But
Well, if we're going to
everything-
talk stupid narrative, it was competing with 12 minutes this year, so we can't get too mad at Forgotten
and
City.
and yeah, it's not 12 minutes bad. But
12 minutes.
I
is,
think most of the
And
Forgotten
I'm really
Cities
happy. I'm
actually
really
written
happy that
really
that
well.
game apparently fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Because I thought it looked really stupid when they announced it.
Do we want to bring back the most baffling category? Because I think the plot of 12 minutes. Whew,
I don't even know. I don't even know what it's about. I've just heard it get ripped a lot.
And
And I thought it looked stupid when they first revealed it.
It makes
Make some
choices.
interesting choices.
Yeah.
But
This
we're
is
talking
not the
about best
category
writing.
for
Yeah,
it. Yeah, this is talking about best writing, not worst writing. But yeah,
I mean, you could argue that that's the best writing, that it's the most baffling.
I also think that a lot of the character writing is really good. Like people like Delirious are just like great to be around. Like the chicken shit Weasley fucker.
Oh, yeah.
Doing his tricky shit. Like I have problems with that game, but I still think overall it's pretty well written
Yeah, for a game that's, I mean, it's
for a Skyrim mod.
it's a Skyrim mod, but the part they chose to focus on in the Skyrim mod is doing the dialogue stuff, which is I think the worst part of Skyrim and why I did not continue on with this game. But if you're going to focus on that part, you better make sure you're writing something interesting. And I thought they did.
Yeah, and again, and like you said, like I think it's cool that it is essentially a time travel story where the person does not give a fuck.
Yeah.
I think that is so seldomly represented. But Hunter, what do you think is the third best written or storied thing this year?
Sorry, I got distracted thinking about Darkest of Days.
Somebody
Those
should
words
really
have
go
never
in
been
and make
strung
a
together
good.
in that order before.
Somebody should make a good Darkest
They
Days.
did. It's called Forgotten City.
I initially only had 2 on here, but then I remembered my number 3, so I put It Takes Two for my number 3.
It's not perfect, but I honestly think like it hits more than it misses.
hmm
Best family game from the Game Awards. It Takes Two. I will like, and Ryan and I were wondering it as we were playing it. It's like we were genuinely like thinking, are they gonna have them stay divorced? And I
Mhm.
think if they can at least like keep us guessing, that's worth something.
Right.
I did not feel that way at all.
Oh, see, I
I
Like,
felt like
I-
that. I felt like that game was wildly predictable about 2 minutes in because
See, it's like-
it's a child-looking video game. I knew
Yeah, but,
exactly
like,
where
they
they were going.
they probably would have them get together, but also both of those characters, like they both suck.
Yeah, I feel like they do enough throughout the game to be like to convince at least like someone who's older, who's not like a kid playing that game, to be like, maybe they shouldn't get together.
And like, if they took the route of
No,
like
that's
actually
100%
divorce
how
is a
you're.
good
I think that's how
thing
you're
in some
supposed to
cases.
feel.
yeah,
And then I think they just whip it around and they're like, "Oh nope, it did the thing everyone knew it was gonna do." but I still loved it. So
No, she did the big emotional thing where she sang, but she just like made a melody. She didn't. Yeah, she's like, "Ah," like it was the Halo main menu or something.
yeah, best soundtrack.
Look, the Halo song can bring couples together.
Yeah.
It can also break them apart.
Yes, as we know.
It
We
just
talked
depends
about
when you
that.
do it. If you sing it when you're together, it breaks you up. But if you're apart and you sing it, it brings you
Or
together.
if you're in the men's room, then that's
Oh,
always a
even
good
yeah,
place
that
for it.
brings all the boys to the yard.
Jason, what's your number 3?
I'm gonna start my category by making it very clear that I did not play very many video games this year that have a story or writing.
Oh no, don't say Resident Evil.
Because the answer is Resident Evil 8.
Oh no. Oh no.
Not because I think it is a well-written game, but because I am entertained by how fucking stupid it is.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel about Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 has some of the dumbest lines in video game history, but I love them.
Where's
It's-
everybody going? Bingo.
Like I when I replayed Resident Evil 4 a couple years ago, or most of it, when it hit that line, it just blew me away because I had forgotten about it completely.
Leon's the best boy.
No, I would really like him to make a comeback.
Ethan, like,
in
I
Resident,
need-
Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil 8 is not, or Village, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is not nearly as funny as that, but it is still goofy and stupid. The clues that you find around the castle are just wildly obvious and not clever at all. They like, it's just like a piece of paper that tells you how to solve the thing. And I
Wait a
I think I like
card.
that. Like, oh,
Um,
they don't like it when it's cold.
I
What
would
could that
love
mean?
a buddy cop game of Ethan Winters and
And I would
Leon
also say
Scott
I've
Kennedy.
only played about a quarter of the game, so that's what I'm judging it on.
I would
assume
say
it just continues to be stupid though.
if we were running a worst story category, Resident Evil, if not for 12 minutes, would likely take it.
Yeah, I made it very clear that I did not think it was a well-written,
But
good story, but it is an entertaining story.
and you got to see
and
the
dialogue,
big lady.
and the dialogue is fucking dumb.
And it's always really funny when Ethan gets
All
his
of
hand
the
cut off
dialogue
and
is
he's just
dumb.
like, oh geez, oh dang it,
Gosh.
oh this sucks.
We'll get there in another category.
Mia. Okay. Moving on from there. My number 2 story or writing. It's a little, it's not breaking, it's not innovating, it's not doing anything crazy, but Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is an extremely solidly written, if just thing. It's predictable, it is sappy at times, but it has just a really solid journey. It's a really solid cast of characters. They have like Midwestern minions in it that are really just great to kind of be around and talk to. They
Yeah, what are
do a
those guys
thing
called again.
the Morts.
Yeah, it was also my number 2. For the similar reasons. Just I don't know. I was entertained.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't. I mean, it's a pretty standard like adventure story, or it's frankly a pretty standard Ratchet and Clank story. They do some twists on it with Rivet, and her robot, whose name escapes me right now, but
Spunk.
Yes, Spunk. Yes, Spunk. How could I forget? And this might kind of tween more with like best character, but like they write Rivet like they used to write Ratchet, and I find that very, very appealing. Like she
Mhm.
actually has some edge on her, and it's kind of nice. They get for the arena they're doing this, they get Richard Hort. They get Richard Horvitz to be the arena announcer, and he's Zircon Jr.,
Oh, excellent.
child of Mr. Zircon, and he just his line delivery is incredible as one would expect. It's very funny, but like the whole game, very solidly funny, great performances across the board. Like if there was a best characters category, it would likely be Ratchet and Clank. Because just everyone is firing on all cylinders. A lot of people just have those characters dialed in very well. You know, your Quarks, your Nefarious, your Ratchets. But then
Right. And
also
Ratchet
the-
and Clank always works with its like big cast of characters.
yeah, and it's
Pierre
it's
That's an
Fair.
important part of it.
it's great. And I
Rusty Pete.
yeah, Rusty Pete and like the fucking
Plumber.
robot pirates, all of that.
Yeah,
like
Pierre.
it's not a particular original story, but it's a very enjoyable time throughout. much like Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's okay also. But Ryan, what is your number 2? Also, time out real quick. What the fuck was that?
I think
What?
Jason was looking up Ratchet and Clank stuff and something started playing.
Okay.
That could have been what happened.
Okay,
I
Ryan,
was
what's your
trying
number
to.
2?
I was trying to find the name of the other robot, but I couldn't find it. It was not listed in the characters.
I don't know. It could have been me too, because I forgot I had a muted YouTube tab open that was playing, and then it auto played to something that was not muted.
If you fucking put Hollow Live in my shit, you're fired.
I mean, it shouldn't affect your shit anyway, and that wasn't Hololive related in the first place. So
It was Hollow Knight related.
Ooh.
yeah,
Ryan, what's your number 2? Is it Hollow Knight?
So I think,
Silk Song.
yeah,
Forever. Vaporware, baby.
it's really impressive when somebody can pull off like a show but don't tell kind of writing thing. And I think Unpacking really pulled that off. It does a really good job of showing somebody's life and like hinting at what's happening all through just like, this is the apartment you're in, this is the apartment you're in, this is what you're unpacking. Like there's all this like, there's so much subtext shown through just like what they choose to put in a box. And they did it without dialogue or saying anything.
Deus Ex, Prey, all of those fucking Arcane games, fucking retire, bitch. Let me tell you about environmental storytelling. Unpacking's my number 1 by a fucking huge margin.
We'll talk about it when we get to number ones then. Hunter, what's your number 2?
My number 2 isn't. It's more the writing than the story. It's the demon negotiations in Shin Megami 5.
Sure, I'll give it that.
Because there's so many good ones. Like there's like when you're with Nekomata or whatever, if you try to flirt with her, she's like, oh, you're just another man telling me he loves me without even knowing who I am, you little fuck boy.
Yeah, there is a like blend of modern slang and also like old style prose in that game that is fucking incredible. I mean, it's a game where, hey, it's another game where you can talk to Jack Frost. Always a worthwhile experience.
There's
Always
one
happy.
really good one where I was talking to a Mothman and I insulted or I said something he thought was stupid, and it's like, oh wow, how profound, how fucking inspiring, pretentious little dipshit. And then he started attacking me.
It's kind of cool that they can really capture real life conversations like that.
I mean, I hear this every time I go outside. So
Yeah, I'm always
Yeah.
talking to my he homies. Yeah, the demon I will say the demon negotiations are really, really good
Yeah, I played
consistently.
I played 4, and I really enjoyed those.
My favorite one from 4 is when a demon tells you to dig a hole and you get 3 options that just say dig a hole. And then it's completely random whether he's like, oh, here you go, you get an item from it. Or it's like, oh, you dug your own grave. And then he attacks you. Jason, what's your number, whatever number?
Jason,
we're on?
negotiate with me for your number 2.
My number 2 is Ratchet.
Yeah,
So
I love
So,
those morts.
I still want to play that game.
Yeah,
I'm a big Ratchet and Clank guy.
it was
I'm
my
not a big
first Ratchet and
PlayStation
Clank.
guy, so
So.
my feelings are very opposed.
don't get too excited.
I don't remember the
It
last
took me
Ratchet and Clank
years-
game I played.
It took me years to play Future Tools of Destruction.
Oh, yeah, also not okay. Anyway, number 1, as mentioned a moment ago, it is Unpacking by a massive margin. I think what that game is able to achieve with its environmental, like purely environmental storytelling, you know, I guess it technically has like the words you get at the end of the level, but like that's barely anything.
Right.
But understanding everything about this character from their shit is incredible. The little like things it does where it's like it gives like just enough fidelity to like the game covers or the movie covers for you to be able to tell what they are.
But sometimes it doesn't have enough fidelity to like a folded something that I'm trying to zoom in. It's like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Is
Yep.
it the hot water bottle?
I can't remember. It was something in like
There
the
were
dorm room or the first
there were multiple
apartment.
times I had that feeling where I'm like, I don't know what I'm holding, so I don't know where this goes.
It might have been the iPod. I
My-
think it was the iPod where I was like, is this like a lanyard name tag? Where does this go? What
A
is
ton of
this?
people on the internet, these fucking Zoomers, man, couldn't figure out what the fuck the GameCube was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck is this thing?
What
There
is this
there were
video
definitely folded
sphere?
somethings, like folded or rolled somethings. I was like, that goes under the bed.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like, and just the I don't want to call them like the quiet moments, but like the actual like emotionally hard hitting moments where it's like, oh, when you realize you have to put the diploma under the bed because he's not letting you put the diploma up. The progression of the fucking back pain. I also think that like it is the
But she got
let's
so
say-
many undies.
She's got like, yeah, she's got a lot of undies, and
She's
by
always
the end of
shitting
it,
her
not a
pants.
lot of them match. I think that the really like in vogue thing is to do sad indie games, and
Mhm.
I kind of kept waiting for like the turn in this where it's like, oh, when is this gonna like be the thing where I'm like fucking packing up my shit for my kids, or it's like when is the tragedy gonna strike?
Yeah, when am I
And-
gonna play as the kids doing an estate sale or
And
some
it
shit?
never does. And you have no idea how much I enjoyed that. Is that, you know what, we can just have a nice like it has its like downer moments. Like moving back into the childhood room is profoundly affecting.
Mhm.
But not having a downer ending, I really really enjoyed that. I think they could have super easily gone a super sad direction with that, and they opted not to. And somehow the writers of Assault Android fucking Cactus made the best written game of 2021
Yeah,
without
but where's
any
the
writing.
at what point do you have to pack up the never worn baby shoes?
No,
See,
you
they could have
unpack the
fucking done
never-worn
it.
baby
Nah,
shoes.
didn't need to. Did not need to. Fuck that boyfriend though. He fucking sucks.
I didn't get that far.
Ryan, what is your no fucking there's a point where you're like unpacking photos and it won't let you hang up the photo of you and the boyfriend. You have to hide it away. Like fucking god damn, that game's good. Fuck, it's so good.
It's crazy how good that game is. Because
Yeah.
they could have done the sad way, or they could have just done like we're gonna be like a de-stressing like a nothing game.
Yeah,
we,
like,
we
it's not-
randomly generate some shit in a box and you put it in a room, and
It's not
that's
saccharine. Like
Yeah.
it still has like seeing like the medicine and stuff from the back pain buildup. It's like there's some kind of heavy shit that happens in that, but it's not like tragic. It's stuff like it's moving back into your childhood room. It's like, oh, that shit didn't work. It's when like the point that it lets you move other other shit in the living space, because like when you move into like the shared dorm house, you can't touch anybody else's shit.
Mhm.
So like having to work within those constraints, but then it's like it's slowly, you're able to move a few different things, but not
Yeah.
everything. Can't hang up your fucking diploma, because fuck that guy.
I got a little overwhelmed when I got to the level where I was able to move other shit around. Like I might still go back to it because it was like a neat little thing, but I only played like one sitting of it. But when I
Mhm.
got to the level where I was like, oh man, I can pick stuff up and move it. It's already out of the boxes. This is gonna take forever.
One
And that's-
thing, this is more of just like a general thing with the game. And I don't know if it would ruin it. But as somebody who just moved, I would have really enjoyed having like a zoom in and kind of like inspect something thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
I like looking at my shit when I unpack stuff. Maybe that's just not that character, but I don't know, something
there-
where I could like zoom in and look at it, or maybe just like a quick little
No,
like
yeah,
oh,
there-
it's a coaster.
Or just like a name. Tell me what I picked up. Like
Yeah.
there were a number of things, now that you say that, in the first room, just like the dorm room, like just like little trinket looking things that I just like tossed them on the dresser and it let me pass the level because I had no fucking idea what I was looking at.
Mhm.
I had no idea they were animal magnets almost the entire game. I thought they were chip clips.
You didn't put them on the fridge?
No, because I have animal chip clips. So I
So do
put them in the
I.
drawer.
I do too, but then I went into the kitchen and saw some magnets on the fridge and I was like, oh, that's where
I
those
never
go,
like
guess.
it took me to like literally the last level or so to connect that those were magnets. And obviously it's like I tried, it's like, oh, like, and obviously like the numbers and the letters, like I figured that out. And also if you arrange them in a successful math problem, it gives you an achievement, because this game's fucking, they know what you're thinking before you think it. But I didn't know the animal ones were fucking magnets.
Hmm.
Or I thought they were like cookie cutters or something. But so yeah, I don't disagree on that. But fuck, that game's good. Anyway, I'll go to your number one now, Ryan.
All right. Number one combines a decent amount of visual storytelling, stuff like that. But then I really like the dialogue and all that. I went with Sable again, showing up top of a lot of stuff.
Roller coaster.
So
It's still going to be his number one biggest disappointment too.
We'll get there.
All the dialogue stuff is really cool. They really do a good job of kind of like setting you in this alien world. But the whole like crux of the game is you're about to do like kind of like a coming of age pilgrimage journey around the world thing. And it's really cool to hop in a game where like you're meeting new people, meeting new strangers, but you still feel really like accepted. I feel like in a lot of these games, like, oh, you're going out into like, the harsh world that they always kind of take this like cynical view of it. But like you show up and people are like, oh, hey, shit, you're doing your thing. Well, like do this. You show up different places and see another person and they remember you and you're talking to them. It does a really good job of being like gender inclusive as well. Like there's a lot of she's, there's a lot of he's, there's a lot of they's, but it never shows up in not necessarily like in your face, but it's like it's just there. It's like, this is the world, this is how it is. And I just really liked all of that. Like it was really comfy to be in, even though like you're going out into the big scary world. Like even some of like the weirder characters you see that you're like, oh, this guy's gonna be like a bad guy who's probably in some like crazy shitty religious cult kind of thing, and it's like, oh no, he's just a normal dude doing his job and he's interesting to talk to.
Nice to know those good people out in the low FPS world.
Yeah.
Hunter, what is your number one story you're writing in this low
My
FPS world of
number
ours?
one story writing is kind of cheating because it's the Near Numbers remake.
Not okay with that.
It's got a good story, I can agree.
Whatever, it's got a good story.
It's got extra story content, so it's not.
Sure.
Is it new story stuff or just stuff they cut from the US release?
I mean, there's some. Well, it was cut.
Didn't they
all
do more
versions.
Kaine stuff?
Yeah, they did more Kaine stuff. They did some more stuff to like kind of connect it to Near a Tomato, but it's
Is it right
mostly
and corrects himself.
it's mostly the fact that they added back in ending E, which they originally had to cut because they, ran out of money and couldn't.
The
Who among
E
us?
stands for money. Expensive. That's what E
The
stands
E
for.
stands for loads of money, probably.
Dosh. Whop you one on the counter. Jason, whop your number one game on the counter.
So mine's another duplicate from someone else's list. My number one was It Takes Two. I don't think that it is a clever story at all, but it's another one that falls in the category of they did some dumb shit that entertained me.
That game
Like-
has so many like unexpected twists and turns.
Yeah. Oh
That,
man,
like-
Cutie the elephant.
Mhm.
extremely
what
good.
happened there?
Holy
Yeah.
shit, extremely good.
Moon Baboon was right.
Moon Baboon.
Like
Like-
the Cutie the elephant scene, I was just like, they're not gonna, right?
Nah, dog.
And then you just fucking rip it apart as it screams in agony and you throw it off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, and that's part of the like focusing on how shitty the parents are, because their
Yeah,
first thought
they
isn't like
suck, dog.
maybe we
Yeah.
should like they think, oh, she has to cry. So it's like, well, what if we do something nice for her? It's like, no, let's fucking destroy the thing she loves in the world the most. And you're like, as a player, you're like, please don't make me do this. And it is, the whole thing is harrowing. It's not just like, oh, we threw it off the thing. It's like you tear it apart and while
It's
it's
screaming.
Begging for its life.
Yeah.
I also like the little like Easter eggs, like Joseph Fares making fun of himself. Like when he pulls the toilet off the wall, he like acknowledges like, oh, that's not how toilets work, but whatever.
Yeah.
Or like when you like do the Easter egg of like him at the Game Awards, like it's delightfully self-aware. It's like I think the comedy in it's really solid a lot of the time. Like a lot of the stuff with the squirrels, like
Mhm.
none of it should be as good as it is, but it's just really solid.
I agree.
I
Yeah.
like It Takes
Yeah.
Two story and writing. It's great.
But it's dumb as shit.
Yeah.
But in a fun way.
Yeah,
And
it's
also-
really
it's also-
fun.
It's very unpredictable, which I think it's like unpredictable but not random. It's just
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
could
like
very
that's a good way to
easily
describe it.
with its general idea. It's like two parents are kind of drifting apart and the daughter wishes they would get together, and it's like you could write the most predictable trite story in your sleep about that, and this manages to kind of like subvert it the whole way through.
And it's like, even if it lands where it probably should, the journey is really good.
Mhm.
I like the part where you use the vacuum's own tubes to suck its eyes out.
It's weirdly dark.
Yeah.
That's family. Hey, that's Family Game.
Mhm.
But yeah, It Takes Two, very good. I'm glad we all have the mutual understanding between the four of us about the other elements of the writing that we're not talking about. But that will bring us to a close
What do
for
you
best
mean?
story or writing. And then join us next time where we talk about the best characters of 2021. Don't worry, this one's not a bad category. This is a good one.
Yeah, this
But
one's a
we will
pretty
see
decent
you then.
category.